So let's take a closer look on the situation in another country. My next guest is an expert on stereotypes in series, especially in Danish series. She's associate professor. She teaches at the University of Aarhus. She knows everything about media and communication, and she worked for the project What Makes Danish TV Series Travel, because they really do. And there she researched TV drama series as cultural export, transnational production and reception. So please welcome Dr. Phil Susanne Eichner.
Hello.
Hello. Great to have you. Hello. You're live from Copenhagen, I think, so it's great to have you here. So let's talk about this incredible success of Danish series, especially with strong female lead characters. They're enormously successful. For example, Borgen, or The Legacy, or The Killing, and everything. So is gender equality simply a success factor?
The answer is very simple, yes, it really is. And we can say that, or I can say that, because we made it's a few years ago now, of course, but we made a quite big and worldwide audience studies, and we wanted to find out how do audiences in the world, not only in Denmark or Germany or the UK, but across the world, how do they perceive and how do they read the Danish television series? And a reason was, of course, to find out what are the circumstances that make the Danish television series travel from a production level, from different kinds of level, but a really important aspect was to look at the audiences. So we went to, for example, Turkey, Argentina, Japan, UK, Denmark, I already mentioned that, Australia, the US, and we asked audiences, what's so great? Why do you watch the Danish series? And there are, of course, it's a little bit more complex and there are several reasons, but across the world, we could really see that audiences feel really attached to the series because they portray strong and ambivalent female lead characters and they negotiate female topics.
So maybe you can define what makes a multidimensional female character a good one.
Well, that's I think that's not so easy to answer because that, of course, depends on the kind of genre you're in and the story you're telling. But I guess maybe I can also knit that a little bit to your previous speakers and guests. It's, of course, a little bit about stereotypes. And the further away you go from just presenting a type, a stereotypical woman, and as soon as you go into portraying a person with her real problems and her situation, then your character becomes more layered, of course.
Can people learn to avoid stereotypes? Maybe you can say something about this Danish manifest, about this, where we have some hints.
Yeah, I think they can. We have. I had to print it out. I printed it out before. It's manifestet, and it's a very funny. It's a very funny read. I can only recommend it to all of you. And it has to be read in an ironical way. But what we can learn from that manifestet is that it mirrors really the stereotypes that we have and still incorporate and still apply. And of course, we as women are not naturally protected from having these stereotypes. So if you look at the manifest, it's so funny. The first paragraph said, remember that female characters should always be sympathetic and young, or are up to having sex. So in 40 points, this manifesto guides us through our own stereotypes and really puts a mirror in front of our faces. I think it's a very good and funny way to learn also about our own stereotypes and try to avoid them.
Yeah, and it seemed already have been successful in Denmark, this kind of teaching or avoiding. Would you say that the Danish society in general is more aware of gender equality with all its challenges?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I have to a little bit contextualize that because Denmark has started with family politics 30 years ago, whereas Germany has done that maybe 5 or 10 years ago. So there is, of course, a difference, and it is different conditions in the society, and there are different, very practical aspects that enable a family where both partners can still work, due to family politics, due to sufficient childcare, etc., etc. And I would say that had created, of course, a high awareness of gender and gender equality. And that also is like one of the big images that, positive images that Denmark is carrying in front of them. Yeah, but I would say now it's a little bit, at the same time, talking about gender trouble is a delicate issue here because it would threaten all what has been achieved in Denmark already. So whereas there is a high gender awareness, but it's also a little bit, now it's a little bit like a rest. We rest on what we have achieved already, and I think it's really time to have a second wave of awareness.
So you think it's a little bit like being afraid that not everything is as good as they thought it was?
Yeah, I mean, there are some really good aspects. And if you look, for example, at the numbers of how many women are behind the camera, for example, on the line of producing, there is a really, the numbers are good. Yeah, yeah, there's a high percentages of women working in production and in also when you look at documentary, for example, as documentary directors. But there are also a lot of areas in society where there is no equality. And Denmark is a country that is very strong against quota regulation.